Hey, thank you so much for watching, listening. Of course, I'd love to have you subscribe to this channel, whatever, because we have really great content, encourages you in your heart, and helps you really have some focus adjustments, keeping your eyes on God. Also, we're continuing a series that I've entitled Psalms for Soothing Stress, right? And we're looking at David, specifically David's life and all the stressful things, very stressful things he went through, and the ways that he acquired soothing help, strength, support from God in those stressful situations. So I want us to look, this is a kind of a little bit, not quite related specifically to Psalms, but still extremely helpful. So I want us to consider David, in the last episode, we talked about David running from Saul, and he did that for over 10 continuous years of his life. In 1 Samuel 27, verse 1, after close to 12, maybe some theologians disagree on how long, but at least 10 years, David came to this conclusion. And it says this in 1 Samuel 27, verse 1. David said to himself, "Now I will perish one day by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than to escape into the land of the Philistines. Saul will then despair of searching for me anymore in all the territory of Israel, and I will escape from his hand." David, after 10 plus years of running away from Saul, he came to the conclusion that there's no hope for me to stay alive here in Israel. The only way I can stay alive is if I permanently move into the enemy's country, the Philistines. That's a pretty severe decision. I mean, you leave your homeland, you leave all your culture, everything that's familiar, comfortable, known to you, and you change into the enemy's country. And David lived in the Philistine country, Gath specifically, for about a year and a half, not quite a year and a half. And when he was there, and he left because he said, if I stay here, the longer I stay here, the more certain in Israel, the more certain it is that I will die, because Saul is intent on killing me. So if I want to stay alive, no matter what, then I have to go where Saul will quit pursuing me. And he does. He moves to an area, a specific city, town called Ziklag. And he serves the king of Gath. He serves Achish, and he goes out and fights on behalf of Achish. And Achish thinks David is fantastic. He elevates him into the army position. And there is a battle that is going to happen. And it is when Achish, the king of Gath, and the Philistines, is going to fight against Israel. And that would include Saul and Jonathan. And David, living under the leadership of Achish, agrees and is supportive of his king. He's basically changed loyalties, if you will. And so David and all of his mighty men, he's got like 600 with him, they agree to fight in battle and go with Achish to fight against Israel, their homeland. So, but all of the leaders for Achish said, "No, we can't have David coming with us. Are you kidding me? This is a guy who said he's killed thousands and thousands. No, this is ridiculous. He's going to get in the battle and turn sides and suddenly attack us. No, we can't have him go with us." So Achish said, okay, fine. And he sends David back to his homeland, not back to his homeland, back to his home city, Ziklag. And when David and all of his mighty men, they go back to Ziklag, when they land at Ziklag, they've been rejected by Achish. They can't go into battle. They can't fight. So that's discouraging. And when they come back to Ziklag, Ziklag was burned burned to the ground, and everybody that was in it was taken captive by a marauding band. And here's a real, you talk about stress. David is under massive stress. I mean, seriously. And when you read about it, this is in 1 Samuel 30, verses 6 to 8. It says, David was greatly distressed because the people, his own followers, were speaking of stoning him, killing him, and they were embittered. All of them were embittered because of the loss of their family, their sons and daughters who were missing. And David's own sons and daughters, all their wives, all their wealth was taken hostage captivity, burned to the ground by this marauding band. And I mean, this is grim beyond grim. David's own men. So it's not only a bad situation, Ziklag has been burned, all their wealth has been taken, all their families have been taken, and then on top of it, David's own men have turned against him and are talking about killing him. I think that's kind of stressful. I think that's abundantly stressful. And for David, everywhere he looks and thinks is stress. His house is burned, his family's gone, his friends, colleagues are turned against him. He is living in a foreign country, and his own king in that foreign country is basically saying, no, you can't work for me. If he goes back home, he's considered a traitor. He can't go back to Israel. Like, all the bridges have been burned. What is he going to do? And I think this is like stress that's in a corner. It's at a dead end. Where are you going to go? And the only thing you can do in that kind of a situation is to look up. Because if you look around and you look down, everything is a black hole, empty, vacuous, and hopeless. But it says this, and I think this is super important. In the end of verse 6, it says, David strengthened himself in the Lord. And I want to just encourage you that a lot of times we cannot rely on people. Sometimes God will work through people to encourage us. But sometimes people are a dead end. And sometimes if we look horizontally at situations, circumstances, that can be a dead end. And if we're not careful, we can let all that dead end start to dwell in our hearts, in our souls, in our thoughts. And we can feel like we're circling the drain for hopelessness. But there's a choice. And David made this choice. He strengthened himself in the Lord. And he said, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't have any solutions. I don't have any answers. In fact, everything looks grim and hopeless. But I will find strength, comfort, security, hope in the Lord. And when we do that, when we look up, it gives God, and we invite God into the situation, it gives God the opportunity to bring us through. And you don't have to tell God how. Let God work out the how. God can, and he will bring you through. And what happens next in 1 Samuel 30, verse 7 and 8, it says that David inquired of the Lord. And he says, shall I pursue the marauding band? Shall I overtake them? And God replies, pursue them, for you will overtake them and rescue all. And I think when we look up to God, when we're in stressful situations and it feels hopeless, when we look up to God, we change our focus. And number two, we invite God, inquire. What should I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what decision to make. I'm kind of at my wit's end. Now what? And I would encourage you to do that. Have those conversations with God. Sit and pause. Take some time. You feel like you're kind of backed into a corner and it's hopeless. Well, look up and ask. These are two important ingredients to help you when you feel like you're circling the drain and things are hopeless. Because God is there, God is present, and God has a way of escape and has a plan for you. Plans to prosper you, give you hope and a future. So I just encourage you, thank you so much for subscribing. Make sure you hit the notification bell right there. That'll keep you posted when we put up new content. It'll be very helpful to you. And I want to ask you this question. Do you like to, I've found for myself, when I get in stressful times, I like to take a walk. Is there some kind of physical exercise activity that you like that helps you with stress? If so, what would that be? You're like, that's an interesting thought. So answer physical exercise. What is that? And we have this really, really great joke. I practiced with our camera people ahead of time, so it's going to be amazing now that I practiced so well. So here's your joke. You remember Annie Lennox? She sang a song, Sweet Dreams are made of the, right? You're like, don't sing. I get it. But here you go. Sweet dreams are made of cheese. Who am I to disagree? Cheese, brie, disagree. I know, I get it. It's super corny, super cheesy. No pun intended. Okay, but next week will be lots better.